if this war continues, there is no doubt, as Israel and indeed Iran attack various assets to do with gas distribution, oil distribution, the price will go up and it'll keep going up until this war comes to an end. So no, I cannot see how we are going to be reducing customers' energy bills. Quite the reverse.
The oil price is taking all the attention this morning, went over $100, but natural gas has gone up 50% more than it was a year ago, and it's a lot harder to store gas than oil. The Cabinet Minister Steve Reid told us an hour ago that gas stores were the same as you'd expect at this time of year, and there was no immediate threat or expected threat from suppliers coming from Norway or the USA or from our own North Sea gas. Let's get a view from the industry. Utilita is an energy supplier specialising in smart pay-as-you-go energy with over 800,000 customers. Derek Lickorish is their chairman, and he joins us now. Derek, morning to you.
Good morning.
How significant is the shock on gas and oil coming our way, do you feel?
Well, the shock is very significant. Last Monday, we were buying gas at around 75 pence a therm. By Tuesday lunchtime, it had gone up 100% to around 155 pence a therm. It then has fallen back to last Friday at about 130, and today's price we are at 131 pence per therm. Now that's a nearly doubling of the gas price. If you contrast that back to what happened in 2022, where gas prices spiked at 600 pence a therm, so that was over 1,000% increase. It's clearly not at this point in time, because at the moment, don't forget, the war doesn't show any signs of coming to an end. That there is big anxiety. How high will gas prices go? We just don't know.
And if it goes high, where does that impact first and hardest?
Well, with that rise, so for domestic customers, they're obviously protected by the energy price cap. So all suppliers, I'm assuming all suppliers are fully hedged for April, May, and June. But when the new price cap comes in after that one, from July, we will see price increases, because we ourselves, we're on what we call the tariff runway. So we buy all our energy in advance. And remember what happened back in 2022, a number of suppliers weren't hedging in line with the tariff cap.
Yeah, I remember that.
And 40 suppliers went bust because they weren't fully hedged. But I'm saying, an assumption on my part, that I think people have learnt from the past and they will all be fully hedged. So for residential customers, it'll be from July onwards, we'll see a price increase there. But it is the summer, and obviously we're not using so much gas for heating. But there will be gas prices going through into the cost of gas generation. And as I sit here talking to you now, over half of our energy will be coming from gas. Where else the pain will be felt, of course, will be sooner for business customers, because business customers are not protected by the price. They're buying gas through third parties and directly from energy suppliers. We supply a number of customers, but of course their contracts are being renewed right throughout the year. Some business customers will be on tracker accounts, which actually tracks the changes in wholesale prices in the market. So they will feel it very soon. So we don't know where this is going to end up. It's going to be a white knuckle ride, and we need to be looking at what we can do to try and improve this for customers going forward. Because if you think back to 2022, we thought that was a 1 in 100 year event. And now we've had the second one in 4 years.
It's a very good point, that. Can we be better at storing gas? I mean, some people say that we've never stored much gas, and there's a storage place at Rough which was closed in 2017 and partially reopened. We have several days, or there's a slight dispute on how much gas we can store in it, but it's nothing like the amount that our European colleagues store. If you look at the amount that France stores, that Germany stores, it's an order of magnitude bigger than we do. Are we outliers in that respect? Should we be storing gas more?
We are definitely outliers in that respect. There's no doubt. And I know that Chris O'Shea has made the case several times to try and get further investment made into the Rough storage, which is a huge opportunity. We definitely do need more gas storage. But we've got to look beyond that, because what this tells us at the moment, what's happened now with the price shock, that and while some people have concerns about renewable energy, we will need to be putting in more of it. But whilst renewable energy in itself, in terms of marginal cost, is very low, i.e. there's no raw energy being used, it's the sun and the wind, the cost of connecting all those renewables is colossal. And at the moment, where I'm at odds with the Secretary of State, Ed Miliband, is we shouldn't be trying to recover those costs over such a short period. We should be trying to recover those costs over perhaps 70, 80 years, and that would make a huge difference in the cost of electricity and help customers, businesses, and everything else that relies so heavily upon it. So storage is part of the answer, but we have to look more deeply at how we're recovering the costs of the energy transition. If I may, this energy transition itself is a 1 in 100-year event, and we should be perhaps trading energy transition bonds to pay for all the connections and help customers and business and the economy in getting to where we need to be. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's very interesting to hear what you say. We have a problem that the grid needs updating, the access to the grid needs updating, and that's going to be very expensive. It feels, and I don't know if this is fair or not, but it feels, being a British person, that when it comes to energy and infrastructure, we just haven't got it right over the preceding several years, and we're in a worse place than many other similar countries. Is that fair, do you think?
It's fair to a degree. There's no doubt that the surge in renewables is bringing challenges wherever you are in the world in terms of connection. But of course, we have not had a strategy as a nation of investing ahead of need.
No.
So we now find ourselves with an explosion in the number of renewable projects, and they have to be connected. And it's up to the government to determine what is the best way of collecting the cost of all those connections. And to bring that into focus, we're going to be spending something like £90 billion by 2050 in all this grid reinforcement. And that's, at the moment, is being collected regressively through customer bills.
Yeah.
And so we're making the poorer even poorer. We're causing businesses to go overseas, and we won't attract the inward investment in our economy unless we have an alignment of energy costs with the government policy. I support what we're doing in terms of more renewables, because the events of today just reinforce the fact that that is what we should be doing.
Should we also be exploiting what we have in terms of North Sea oil and gas at the same time as renewables? I'm not saying instead of renewables, but still at the same time.
I absolutely see that the North Sea is an opportunity for energy security. And in that context alone, we should be making the optimal use of that. What it won't do is reduce gas prices, because it's traded internationally. But for energy security, we should certainly be making use of the assets we've got, and we're not.
The government's been talking about, Ed Miliband came to power talking about £300 off energy bills. They've talked specifically now about £150 in the short term. Might that be in doubt now if you look at, say, the next 12 months?
Absolutely. And if you remind yourself where we were back in 2022, the government was having to fork out £2,500 per customer to bring bills down. And I think it was the right thing to do. We had no choice. But that cost 40 to 45 billion pounds to do that. We can't afford to keep doing that. But if this war continues, there is no doubt, as Israel and indeed Iran attack various assets to do with gas distribution, oil distribution, the price will go up, and it'll keep going up until this war comes to an end. So no, I cannot see how we are going to be reducing customers' energy bills. Quite the reverse.
Derek, it's not an optimistic position at the minute, but I think it's a very accurate one you're giving us. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us.
Thank you.
That's Derek Lickorish there. And this question that we talk about quite a lot in this programme, Kate, you're really good on this subject. I think that we don't have a modern setup for improving our energy efficiency. You know, the grid is not ready to take all this renewable energy. Even if everyone accepts that renewable energies are the way forward, even if their costs come down even more because they went down, then they came up again, we're not quite ready to exploit it. We don't have the gas storage. We don't have the connectivity with the grid. it seems that we struggle in this area.
Well, it's the difference between long and short-term energy planning. And Dominic O'Connell, our business correspondent, is going to join us later on in this hour, and we can talk to him about it. But part of the problem is long-term planning and being able to reconcile your foreign policy and what's going on in the world with your domestic investment policy. And that's why we keep asking about the defence investment strategy, the defence investment plan, because that's exactly a good example of that. And the problem with the energy markets is that, I mean, you know, the Rough gas storage facility, maybe in 2017 it was a reasonably okay decision to close that down, but reopening it cost a lot of money. There now needs to be even more investment in it because we need energy resilience, which we just don't have. And, you know, there is as you were hearing now from Derek Lickorish, he's not against the idea of renewable energy. I don't think anybody really is against the idea of renewable energy, but it's not an immediate short-term fix for what's going on in the world. And we also need to look at the grid, we need to look at connectivity, and we need to look at the sustainability of those power sources and, you know, really consider nuclear in a way that is achievable and sustainable and not wildly expensive.
Because we're at the mercy of Donald Trump. That's the other thing. He said that quote. He said that if you think that only a fool would think short-term energy rise is a price not worth paying. But it begs a series of questions. That, not least, do you feel that we're going to achieve peace and reconciliation and stability in the Middle East as a result of this campaign? And that seems to be very unlikely in the short or medium term. In which case, the energy prices are going to go up. We're not going to get very much in return. And I don't think our economy can sustain that, let alone the American economy.
What I find fascinating is the shift that's gone on in Donald Trump's brain, because in the first administration, the first Trump administration, John Bolton, his security advisor at the time, was all the time really gung-ho. Let's go for Iran. Let's attack Iran. Let's get Iran. It's a really good idea. Now's the time to do it. And there is reporting this morning in the New York Times which suggests that the reason why Trump couldn't be persuaded by Bolton to do it at the time was because the argument against it was always, do you really want to go into the next election with American boots on the ground and oil at $150 a barrel or whatever it may well be? And the answer from Trump was always no, obviously not. And what's the difference this time round? Is it the pressure from Benjamin Netanyahu? Is it the fact that this is something that he has long been planning? Is it Venezuela and the perceived success of that operation which has bounced him into doing it?
Has the power gone to his head? I mean, the other thing, how strategic does he ever think about any of these things?
And all of those questions matter, but the same thing is at the heart of this, which is, you know, ultimately in this country and in America, there is a domestic impact of your foreign policy decisions. And it's why it's so important to have a long-term sustainable plan for both that are reconciled to one another. And if you don't have that, you end up in this loop, which is what Derek Lickorish was talking about, where you end up having to bail out, you know, consumers for energy prices. And it doesn't just become a 1 in 100 year instance. It becomes a 1 in 5 year, 1 in 2 year, 1 in 1 year.
Well, the world is not going to get safer dramatically in the next 10 years, you would have to imagine. So worrying about 1 in 100 year events seems to be, as Derek Lickorish, I thought he was very good on that point, actually, that we've had two, the renewable revolution, plus the Ukrainian war, plus the Iranian conflict. That's now 3 1 in 100 events that have taken place within 5 years.
What I will say, though, that at the very end of that interview, and I wrote the quote down because I think it's very stark and it'll be very, very difficult for the government, for Rachel Reeves, and we think the Prime Minister is going to be speaking today, later on this morning, and John Healey, the Defence Secretary, will give a statement probably around 3:30 in the Commons. He said, if the war continues, there's no doubt the prices will go up and they will keep going up. I cannot see how we are going to be reducing customer energy bills. In fact, the reverse. And the government has guaranteed £150 off bills. They did that just a few weeks ago.